Let's get it started then. So
Yeah,
you
sure.
guys recently changed your name from Steel Splice to Reckless Messiah. What was the cause of the change?
So when we got with our producer, we had like a whole pretty much we did this on Zoom. We had a just a meeting all four of us, and then we got Bruce in there as well. But we all had a meeting, and basically he was like, "I'm down to work with you guys. We can definitely make something happen. But I think we should change the name. Steel Splice is cool, but I think we can have something a little bit better." And I think we found it with Reckless Messiah. It's got odes to Shotgun Messiah, who's an amazing band, and then it definitely fits the style and the feel that we're going for sure.
Right now, will you be using the name Steel Splice later on, like an album title or a single title?
So we are gonna hold on to the name just to kind of have a throwback to where we started at least. For one, which isn't gonna really affect anyone else, but I call the Studio Splice. So there's that. But that's gonna tie into what you might see on Apple and Spotify, since we're gonna be releasing independently like most underground rock does. We'll technically get to create our own record label, which we'll be calling Steel Splice Records or Steel Splice Productions, something like that. So we're gonna hold on to that name for the record label.
Now, how does one create a record label? Because I've seen like a lot of the underground bands have created their own record label.
That's gonna be through. I did all the paperwork and like the business side of things a little bit ago, so I can't remember. It was either with the licensing company that you had to pick it out and label it, or it's either with the distribution company. One of those accounts, when I was going through that process, asked for the band title, song title, blah blah blah, and then they also asked. I think it was on the distribution side because that's what's going to be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. So it's probably within that entity that you have to claim a record label.
So it's a lot of like copywriting stuff to make sure you don't get screwed over and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the licensing for sure, which we chose to go with BMI. So we're gonna do that with them, and yeah, all that's really done. And truthfully, most everything is pretty much ready to go. Um, just waiting on a little bit of vocals, but that's about it. I'm pretty much ready to drag and drop and release.
I'm excited to hear your new stuff. I think it's going to be awesome.
I can't wait. It's absolutely killing me. Most all of my stuff is done, and most of the guys are done. We've been done for a little while actually. um, we have a couple of things. I'm working with one of my buddies who does TV and videography. We're gonna start getting some teaser videos ready, and pull a little clip from the producer and put some stuff together for some nice teasers. But man, it's absolutely killing me. I'm just so ready. I
Do you
literally
guys
play it every single day.
do you guys have like a date or anything out yet? Or
Nothing more than a goal of the end of this month, really.
right. So it could be like early February too.
Yeah, it could be. So what's gonna happen is once I basically drop the WAV file of the song into the distribution site, it'll be 2 weeks after that. So that'll maybe even a little bit before that, but that'll be the teaser time frame and advertising the actual date. Once I do that, we'll have a date.
And I'm assuming you guys would do music videos and other stuff to kind of help promote your new song.
Yeah, totally. The same guy I'm getting videography work with. I'll likely do some sort of music video with him. Whether the boys travel down here, I mean, Gordy's already with me, or potentially, and this is not like confirmed, it's just spitballing. We could possibly go visit Bruce out in LA. We've chatted about that. Nothing set in stone, but we'll do something for it for sure. But there will be plenty of promotion, and like I said, we'll drop little audio teasers, some video and audio teasers and stuff like that. And like I said, it's I mean, it's most of it's done. It's like 90% done.
It's just that final like month and like not couple of weeks where you're just like, ugh, I want it out now. I feel
Yeah,
that when I release a magazine, it's like I really want to release it now, but I have to make sure I get A, B, and C done so it's perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So we're kind of in that stage, but there is a song like it's there. It's no more like I'm excited to make it or I can't wait for it. Like it's there. It's very very close to being done. But the files are there. I pretty much will just grab my guitar and, get a good speaker, throw like the demo track of the drums and the bass on, and then I'll just play the guitar over it. But yeah, it's very complete. It sounds really good. Our producer absolutely killed it.
Do you guys think you're going to be releasing an album after a couple of singles?
Yeah, for sure. So the plan will go something like this, which you know how it is. Everything can change and wrenches get thrown in the plans. But so this single, first goal is 3 songs this year. My first goal was to do 2 songs by May. I'm changing the goal to 3 singles this year, and shortly after, we're gonna have to be working on other work as well. In fact, I've already worked on the second single a lot myself, as far as bass, drums, and guitars. Um, that's already into motion, so that'll tell you how far along the first song is. I'm already working with that. Um, but we're gonna have to be working on extra stuff because what I'm trying to do with the guys is get, yes, 3 singles released this year, but already be ready to almost be dropping an EP early 2025. So we're gonna have to also be ahead of the release schedule for the 3 singles. Getting in one, two, or three of those might be on the EP. We might only make 2 more new songs and do 5 songs on an EP. Um, but that release date will depend because potentially that is what could be released on vinyl, and I don't want to release that on streaming as soon as we can, um, because once you put in a production order for vinyl, I think it takes like 4 to 5 months to have your order completed and like actually have it in your hand to sell. So even if that's done early 2025 according to plan, we might have to wait because I don't want to drop it on streaming and then be like, "Oh, guys, and here's the vinyl," and everyone's gonna be like, "Ah, I already heard it. It's fine." Like,
Right. Because what Roxy Red did, I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like a British glam band. They released their songs on a CD first before they dropped it on single, both streaming services.
oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
smart. Yeah, really, that's actually really smart. Yeah, get some physical product out there. I mean, we have a crazy fan base as far as having no music, like really supportive group of people for having no music. I'm sure if we did it the wrong way, there'd be a few people to buy it, but not as much as we'd want. So that's definitely a smart idea.
Right. Because it's
Um,
merchandise and like physical media that bands get their money from. Because, you're not going to get any money from Spotify or Apple.
no, I'll get 99 cents in 2025, maybe.
Wow, what can that get you? Nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, we're all greatly aware as artists tend to be. It's all for getting your name out there for the enjoyment of just doing it. And hopefully it will lead to something one day. And hopefully we'll get a physical release for the EP. Um, I'm fairly confident that that can happen. Uh, but like I said, that's all goals, perspective stuff. That's a plan. It's not set in stone.
Everything
But
changes.
totally. But the 3 singles, that I'm really confident in getting 3 songs out this year. Like I said, me personally, I'm already working on the second one. Like the first one's not even in my eyes now. It's in someone else's hands. So
Right.
yeah, and our producer is willing to work with us again. In fact, and so is Bruce on drums. So I think he's going to be kind of a key component as far as drums go with us, um, for a little while.
Not
Me
to
and
mention, Bruce has like 20 plus years of experience in the music industry.
Bruce, it's incredible working with him. He knows everybody. I mean, he seriously does know everybody. We were on a band meeting with him, or maybe it was in our band group chat the other day, and he was telling us a story about the time he got to hang out with Axl Rose at Axl's house, and it's like mind blowing. He truly does know everyone. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, if you do a music video down in LA, maybe you can get some of his music friends in there. You can just have like Axl Rose in your video.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that would happen. We're pretty small scale, but anything is possible out in LA. I'll give you that, especially when you have a connection who literally grew up there. Um, I know him and Michael, especially. I'm not so much in touch with Scarlet Rose's drummer or the bass player, but Michael and Bruce I talk to quite a bit, and they're just, I mean, anything you saw in any movie magazine, like they literally live on top of that Sunset Strip. So it's pretty cool.
That would be awesome. I mean, I honestly didn't think LA was much of a music hub anymore. I thought it kind of died down.
It definitely did. Plenty of those original bars went out of business. Like I'll listen to a Wasp interview with Blackie or something, and he'll talk about a bar where they started that's already out of business and gone. And Bruce has said the same thing. There's places there that you're gonna want to avoid. It's not very glamorous over there in Hollywood anymore. It's a bit of a mess, and that's coming from a resident's mouth, not mine. But there's also the side that held the rock and roll roots, like the whiskey especially.
Rainbow.
Because what was that?
And the rainbow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there are a good side of things, and I'm sure they also know the smaller scale, lesser known bars that are also probably doing
Right.
not mom and pop maybe, but just smaller ones that are doing the rock and roll thing that maybe you and I wouldn't know.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm sure we can get something cool going. Um, yeah, it's gonna be great. I have high hopes. I can say that much without having a plan. I can say I have high hopes.
Well, you guys jumped on at like the perfect time because there's like so many new rock and roll fans that are kind of like wanting to relive, well, not glam per se, but they just want rock and roll to come back in general.
Yeah, totally. We definitely got lucky. Like sometimes I'm like, damn, I wish I got, because I've only played guitar now for 2 years, and all the time I'm kicking myself like, why didn't I discover this earlier? Why didn't I like pick it up earlier? Like Dusty from 80s Metalheads is only like 17 and he's getting ready to get into a band, and I'm like, man, good for you. I wish I got in that young, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, this might have just been the time for it to happen because maybe if I got into it earlier, I would have burned out on it because no one was, spinning their wheels behind it.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
sorry.
yeah, just that's about it. Just like they are now is all I was gonna say. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer of you'll get into something when it's supposed to be happening, because
Yeah.
I've been shocked by how many new bands I've found, some that started back in 2015 or
Yep.
later. And it's like I have a very, very strong belief that this is going to come back in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you see my stories from time to time, and it might seem silly, but I mean, I see it so much and I hate mainstream personally, but for something like this to come back, it has to come back into mainstream. And we know, right, it's all a business. If as soon as they realize they can make money off of it, it'll go to mainstream. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. But when you see it, because we work in retail, so I'll be in Target and I'll see a guitar advertising firewood, and I'm like, you wouldn't have seen that in 2007 or whatever, like that just wouldn't have been there. Guitar wasn't cool anymore. But it's, I mean, children's toys advertisement, mainstream advertisement, commercials. There was the rat commercial with like, I don't know, Progressive or something. There was
I
the
think it was
Kiss with
Geico.
Geico. Yeah, there you go. Geico with rat, Kiss with Workday. There's a really really strong impending storm, I guess. It hasn't hit yet for sure,
It's
and I
just
don't know
brewing.
when. Yeah, so I think you're right. I tend to think that I'm in the right place that I need to be, and I have a vision for what's to come. So on social media, I'm just trying to make as much connections as I can. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of bands. You'll go pull up their streaming services, and you'll see that they were making albums in like 2014, and you're like, God damn. I mean, never heard of these guys, and now it's just so refreshing to hear.
Yeah, right. I think Steel Panther had part were part of the reason, like they've been I would say they're 80s rockers because they were in a lot of like bands before Steel Panther that were like Satchel. He was in the band with Rob Halford before Steel Panther. So they were
Right.
definitely bringing back 80s rock in the modern day a bit.
Yeah, they never let it go. And I mean, it's funny because they're doing the mock thing and they're being silly and they have silly lyrics. And I mean, first of all, they're incredibly talented. There's no taking away from that. But it is kind of funny how some people think they've made it impossible to take hair metal and sleaze rock seriously, but at the same time, they have definitely also been the ones to not waver from what they like and have been the ones to keep it around. And I tend to agree with you and think that they definitely, just held the flame just long enough for it to not disappear completely. And a lot of times Bruce will tell me when I post stories like that, oh, such and such is coming back in mainstream marketing, and he'll say, oh, it never left. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you're right. There was, like we just said, there was still rock bands making stuff in 2006 and 2014 and blah blah blah. But I always tell him, like, I'm clarifying it coming back in a large scale form. Rock never died, of course, but I want that large scale mainstream attack to come back.
Oh, it definitely is. And I mean, you're not never really too old to start a band because if you look at like Stacy, he lived through the 80s glam and now he's with Dixie Dragster. And I think that's amazing.
I love him. He's so awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's super cool and of course talented. But yeah, he would man. So I guess back when Dixie was still with Stolen Prayer and CC, JT, Stacy, and Dixie, I think were doing the Motley Crue tribute band. um, that was kind of when I first started talking to him, and he was always really easy to talk to, helpful. If I had gear questions or yeah, he's awesome. You can tell he feels at home um, with the second coming of whatever rock and roll you want to call it.
Sleaze, glam, 21st century glam, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever it is, it's great. But yeah, that's really cool. And even Bruce, I mean, fuck, Bruce looks better than most of us young kids. Honestly, like Bruce looks like he's 20 years old, but on the other token of that, he also like when I have those moments where I'm like, fuck, I got into this too late. Like, I'm not up to par with other bands. Bruce gives me that hope because I'm like, dude, he's killing it and he's older than me, so I got this.
Right.
He's
I
also
also
10 times better than me, but that's all right.
full practice. I
Yeah,
mean, you're already more talented than half the people that are on mainstream radio.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I think Reckless Messiah is so inspiring because all you guys are beginning musicians. And when you see a band, most of the time they're already like they hone their skills and they're amazing, but you never really get to see that stage beforehand.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point for sure. Yeah, I'm so last Christmas was 2 years for me. I want to say Jackie's around the same time frame as me, something around that 1.5, 2 year mark. Izzy's been in it a long time, but not for vocals, so he's a beginner vocalist. Um, Gordy has played for a while, but he's kind of like Vicky. He kind of dropped it off for a little while, and then when me and Gordy reconnected here in town, he kind of picked it back up. But he's great. Bruce is killer. Bruce was kind of that fifth piece we needed to bind and gel and get a production connection and stuff like that. But I'm really impressed with Jackie. Jackie learns so fast, and it could be because he's got that, he's learning in that he's got that younger mind where you can really absorb stuff. But Jackie learns so much stuff really fast, and he did great on this first track. The bass, it sounds amazing.
Yeah. I don't think people understand just how much a
I,
good bass part can make a song.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Um, I'm trying to like work my way around it and not give away too much. Uh, but yeah, there's parts in the song where, and this is thanks to Bruce and understanding, arrangements and things like that. But there's parts in the song where what Bruce says is, if everything's loud, nothing's loud. So we have those parts where we back off, and me and Gordy are chilling, and there's just that drum and bass beat, and Jackie's playing, really nice stuff, and then we all come back in, and It's great. It's our first song. It's not groundbreaking, but I think it's really good.
Right. I mean, if you look at a lot of bands, their first debut, even if it's good, their second one's 10 times better, you know?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. And Bruce says that too. He's like, I wrote 1,000 shitty songs for one good song. Like you have to just constantly do it. Like you got to get your first one out there. You got to get past it and just keep going. And so that's what I'm trying to do, getting into the second song. And now that I've gotten a better look at how all this works, I did it the right way. Because before I would literally like I just have lyrics in my head all the time. Like I'll be at work and just stop and just type out a whole song, which is cool, but it's also the wrong way to do it because you're supposed to start with bass and drums and vocals are last. So now that I've gotten what's the word, exposure to the proper process. For the second song, I've been able to start with a drum track and then, put a bass line over it and then start working my guitar over it. So we're all learning, but it's going really well, and I'm excited to see where the second one goes.
Oh, absolutely. So I do have a question. How did Bruce come into the band? Like, I knew you kind of knew Scarlet Rose, but like, how did he come in?
Yeah, so the whole story would start like maybe it's been a year now or so, maybe a little less. Bruce actually found me on Instagram first and basically said like, "Hey man, I think you got the passion. You just need some direction. I want to give you lessons." I was like, "Cool." So I started doing lessons with Bruce on Zoom, um, and instantly started getting better. Like I've done a lot of self learning. I've had another teacher, and they were great teachers, but they didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know what to do with someone who wants to play this kind of rock and roll in 2023 at the time. So I get with Bruce, things start really taking off. He continues to kind of see my direction, where I want to go, like that I actually want to do this stuff. And so, we've been without a drummer since the start. And just through lessons, eventually he picked up Jackie and Izzy through me to do lessons as well. And I think we all kind of just got on the same page. And we were like, dude, like we need a drummer. You do everything. And he kind of offered his services, and we were like, yeah, let's do this. Like it'd be stupid not to, because sure, it's another member who doesn't live in the same area. Me and Gordy are together, Jackie and Izzy are together, but actively working to move, and me and Gordy are looking for Florida drummers. But it would have been really dumb to turn down Bruce when he lives right there in LA, knows a million people, has access to equipment. So, and you know, he'll work with us until he says, "Hey, I got too much work," or until we find someone else down here. And yeah, we're just kind of going with the flow with that, but that's how that happened, just really by happenstance through lessons.
Yeah, he's your saving grace.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's the final piece we needed to tie everything together. He's got exposure, connections, gear, understanding. Yeah, he's been incredible.
Yeah, I find it astounding how musicians they have so many things to help them, whether it's an app or other people that just want to help them. I feel like the rock and roll culture in general is very accepting. I've
Big time.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's been great to be a part of it. There's especially when I started, and I don't consider myself even like an intermediate player yet, much less good or great. But when I first started off posting covers, it's kind of like we said with the first song, like you gotta just do it. You gotta suck to be good. You gotta
yeah,
start. You gotta be bad to be good. So definitely when I first started, especially on my old page before it was deleted, I had some very bad guitar covers and very bad workup. And besides a couple like haters here and there, which is the usual like private profile guys who have nothing on their page, it's been really really good. Like the actual people who are invested in the music, and I mean, from fans to making connections with you and anyone in any facet of this, especially other musicians, bands, and even record label owners have all been awesome.
yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, totally cool. It makes it easier, or not easier, but more exciting to want to keep pushing.
Yeah, nothing's easy, but if you're supposed to be doing something, things will start to click.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, those are all the questions I have. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Not much. I would just add, I hope everyone's excited for the song. I mean, the best thing I can say for it right now is that it is like it's there. It's put together. It exists. It's not just an idea anymore. It's just a matter of finishing touches,
Right.
and then I'll go into the licensing and the distribution accounts, put the things where I need to be, do royalties, credits, blah 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 blah, the business side. As
Right.
soon as that's done, 2 weeks, and that'll be teaser time, and then it'll drop, and we'll have a date. But no more, no more waiting for something to happen. It's definitely there. In our back pocket. We just have to throw it out there.
Also, don't forget to check them out on their Instagram, Reckless Messiah, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way you're gonna get views nowadays.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. I finally caved and made a TikTok, which I didn't want to do, but I got it, and I'm not really invested in it yet. I've kind of just thrown some rehashed videos from Instagram on there, but yeah, that's just me. That's not the band, anyways. So yeah, Instagram is definitely the best way to get in touch.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time for the interview.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you having me, and hopefully we'll have something out for you to listen to soon. It's a jam for sure.
Hopefully, I can't wait.
All right.